Well guys, I'm back and doing my first news video in well over a week, and we do have a little bit of news to share with you today. First up, we're going to talk about Iconic Arcade revealing a new update about their Double Dragon cab, and it actually ties back to a video based on a rumor I did a very long time ago that I think you guys are going to find interesting. On top of that, we have new port data. A new product is coming very soon from Arcade1Up, but it's a product that was already rumored, so I'll share that with you. And then last but not least, we've got a new episode of Pinball Bites coming up tomorrow, and they have put out a teaser that we're getting a new spine-chingling Williams game, which I am very excited about because Halloween's right around the corner, and it may finally be time for us to see the Mistress of the Dark come to Pinball FX. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Michael B, and I'm so excited because I'm back and doing a news video today. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, we got news on Iconic Arcade, Arcade1Up, and last but not least, Pinball FX. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you so much, everybody, for checking out the video. Guys, I always appreciate the support. If this is your first time to the channel, you like what you see, go ahead, subscribe, click the bell for notification, all that YouTube jazz. So I think all of us were pretty excited a couple months back when Iconic Arcade seemed to reveal what their second cabinet was going to be. It was actually going to be a Double Dragon cab. There was a little bit of confusion at the time because they were at the Arc System Works Championship. They also did one for the modern upcoming Double Dragon Revive game, but most of us had our eyes dead set on that Double Dragon classic cabinet that we thought was so beautiful, looked so perfect, and especially the fact that they didn't try to do something stupid with the side artwork. They went as authentic as possible without putting the Taito logo on there was very good news. We all loved this cabinet. But with more recent revelations about Iconic Arcade, we did learn there would be the ability to add games possibly from a game store. Now, I don't think it's going to be completely open. I think maybe the games will be locked to whoever the brand of the cabinet is. Say, for example, the first one is Street Fighter, so if you're going to add games to it, they're probably going to be Capcom games, and so on and so forth. So this is actually a Technos game owned by Arc System Works, so you're probably going to be able to add Technos games to it. But with that comes a little bit of a complication, as a Street Fighter cabinet's fine, it has 6 buttons, but what about a Double Dragon cab that only has 3? Well, it looks like our question has been answered, as John D has shared this image on the official Media OneUp global fan page showcasing a Double Dragon cabinet with the 3 buttons. We all know and remember the blue buttons, but you'll see above it there's an additional 3 buttons, but they're actually blacked out. So there's black buttons you won't be able to notice, showcasing that this is in fact going to be a 6-button cabinet. Now, I was lucky enough to kind of help John in his decision-making in this because I kind of got the feeling this was, in fact, going to be a 6-button cabinet. So I saw this video shared online of somebody basically recreating a Double Dragon cabinet for their home, doing the original cabinet. But, of course, when most people do personal builds, they often put a Raspberry Pi or mini PC in there and do some kind of load up that has bunches of games or some kind of build. And what they did here was they did put the original Double Dragon board in there, which I found funny, but they did include 6 buttons on the cabinet. And how they handled the 6 buttons was the exact just thing we saw showcased from John D. So, of course, here's the glamour shots of the cabinet, and as you can see, they went with a 6-button layout, and the black buttons up top are, in fact, blacked out. So what I did was I took this video, sent it along to John D., hopefully for inspiration to keep the cabinet as authentic as possible. So I'm pretty happy with that. I always prefer these cabinets to be as close to the original as possible. Pretty much, I want them to be exact replicas of the original, something that New Wave Toys would do for us. But if you've got to make concessions like add extra buttons, I understand it, but doing it tastefully in this manner is definitely a good way. But there's something really interesting from this whole process about what Iconic Arcade is in fact going to be. We talked about it, that this is kind of like Arcade1Up XL cabs. They're larger style cabs recreating the original cabs, but this whole online infrastructure and adding additional games sounds kind of like something else. Now, I actually did a video 2 years ago now, after it was first announced that John D was, in fact, let go from Arcade1Up, or left Arcade1Up, whatever the rumor is you heard. We think pretty much they let him go. But anyways, in this video, we talked about some kind of crazy rumor, one of which being John D has purchased iArcade. John has been very outspoken that he always liked the model from iArcade, a cabinet that you bring games to. He listened to feedback from the community. A lot of people were saying the same thing with Arcade1Up. I'd love to be able to DLC extra games to my cabinet, add additional games. And it seems like this rumor, or this prediction I made 2 years ago, has come true, because that is exactly what Iconic Arcade is going to be. All right, guys, so moving on away from Iconic, now we'll go to the company Iconic's trying to compete against, and that is, in fact, Arcade1Up. And some very interesting news broke last week, much like Iconic and the 6-button layout. Sorry for the late news, but new shipping data, or port data, came in identifying that Arcade1Up, in fact, have a new product coming, which is a Pac-Man Pub Table. So this is something that's entirely new. They've never released before, but this isn't the first time we heard they'd be doing this. No, in fact, another YouTuber by the name of Keo Deacon actually attended IGN Live, the June summer event, which Arcade1Up was actually participating at, and he had a chance to talk to some of the representatives from Arcade1Up. Of course, the burning question everybody wants to know, can we expect to see anything new from Arcade1Up in 2025? And we, in fact, got a pretty sad answer, saying that no new products were coming in 2025, but he did throw out a very interesting tidbit, or piece of information. The product they're the most excited about was an upcoming Pac-Man Pub Table. Now, since this came out, we haven't really got any news about a Pac-Man Pub Table, which we assume is going to Costco. We thought maybe this was a false rumor, lost in translation. Of course, with the shipping data we got last week, we now have our first confirmation that this was in fact true, and a Pac-Man Pub Table is coming. Now, for those of you not aware, we did see a Pac-Man Pub Table, Miss Pac-Man Pub Table, released from Arcade1Up at Costco last year. It's pretty hard to find now, but I did find this post from the UK Costco. They actually currently have it available, and it was a Miss Pac-Man and Galaga Class of 81, but they only called it Miss Pac-Man Galaga Pub Table. This had your typical games that were on the Miss Pac-Man Galaga Class of 81 cabinets. There's a look at, what it looks like. One of the cool things was it had light-ups under the table to show off over the control panels. Also had light-up cup holders. A lot of people really dug this. It got some positive comments in the community, but the funny thing is, there wasn't actually a lot of coverage on it. In fact, it was a real challenge to actually find some video on it. Luckily, I found this video from PD7 during one of his walk and talks, went and checked it out in Costco. So there's a look at the form factor. We anticipate that the Pac-Man Pub Table is going to be very similar. The only thing we don't really know, is it going to be yellow, an iteration of the original Pac-Man cabinet, or is it going to be something like the Pac-Man Neon cabinet we most recently saw, released from Arcade1Up in the past couple weeks. So, still a lot of answers. We only have port data right now, but keep your eyes on Costco, as a new Pac-Man should be showing up pretty soon. For those of you hoping it's going to have some changes to the other Pac-Man cabs, maybe some additional games, I would say don't hold your breath. Arcade1Up haven't showed us any signs of that kind of life in the last couple of years. Anticipate this being a Pac-Man Pub Table done very similar to the Miss Pac-Man Galaga Pub Table, with the same allotment of games you would normally get on an Arcade1Up Pac-Man cabinet. Now, last but not least, probably in the news I'm the most excited about, we had an announcement over the course of the last week that the wonderful team from Zen Studios, Linne, and Balti are going to be coming back for another episode of Pinball Bites on September 25th. And they threw out probably the most exciting teaser they've thrown out in a very long time, announcing that they were going to be announcing an announcement. They were going to be announcing a new Williams game that was spine-tingling in time for Halloween, and I couldn't be more excited because if you know, I complain every year Pinball FX releases a game around Halloween, and it's not Elvira. So if you guys take a look at what Williams Halloween or horror themed games they could possibly release, it really boils down to about two. Some would argue Elvira and the Party Monsters, but that was actually done by Midway through Bally. This is the only one that came out under the Williams banner, I think. At least that's what the internet told me. So anyways, another strong possibility is the fact that this game was previously released in Pinball Arcade, and a lot of people seem to think that Zen Studios have been recreating a lot of the old Pinball Arcade games for Pinball FX recently. So me personally, if they do Scared Stiff, I will literally shit. I am so excited for Scared Stiff. I ask for the Elvira games every single Halloween, so I'm very excited. But that isn't the only possibility. There's also another Williams horror-based game that we could be looking at. And that one, of course, is in fact Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, this is a fantastic game for anybody that's played the original Williams table or played this through Pinball VPX, or you've played it through the old Pinball Arcade. You know this is a really good game. Now, my only fault with is it's a little dark. It's not exactly the brightest, most vibrant table. Like, it really went heavy on the blues and the reds, which was the theme for the movie, so you can't really blame them. But other than that, this is an excellent table based on the Bram Stoker's Dracula, Gary Oldman, Keanu Reeves movie. Winona Ryder was in it. So, excellent game. Also an excellent choice. But let's be honest here. Who doesn't want Elvira? So anyways, guys, that's the little bit of news I have to share with you today. Of course, first off, we talked about Iconic Arcade. Me personally, I would prefer that these were recreations of original arcades, but even with having multiple games on the same cabinet, sometimes you have to make compromises. And then with the added feature of a downloadable game store, you know you're going to want that fighter game setup so you can accommodate the most games possible. So even though they're going to go with the 6 buttons, which is a bummer, I think they did the smart thing by going with black buttons so it blends into the control panel and really isn't too bad an imposition. So I'd love to know what you think about that, guys. Of course, with Arcade1Up, the Pac-Man Pub Table, I don't know how well this is going to be received by the community, but then again, the Miss Pac-Man Galaga Pub Table seemingly did well for Arcade1Up and Costco. They absolutely offered one more. The only bummer is that one was paired with an XL last year. It doesn't look like we have an XL coming this year. So could this be the end of the Arcade1Up XL line? And then last but not least, Pinball FX. It looks like we're down between two games, either Bram Stoker's Dracula or Elvira Scared Stiff. Either one is a winner, but man oh man, the little kid in me, the dude who wants boobies on the back glass, is really hoping it's Elvira. Anyways, guys, let me know in the comments down below what'd you think of today's news. Is there anything you're excited about? Anything you want to share your opinions on? Anything you want to reach out to me about? Let me know down below. Once again, thank you so very much for watching. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. I'll talk to you next time.